Welcome back, I am Robert and I'm talking to you about the Pathscape Create software and how it is used to program your Pathway Connectivity Perform controller or your nLight Animate Controller. And in this video we are going to be talking about spaces and why you might want to or not want to use and define spaces and how different spaces can be inside of inherited spaces and dependent. Anyways, we'll get into all of that. So if you open up the software here, I have already dropped in a background image of my restaurant and it is filling up what we call the project space. That's the default space. So since this restaurant is called Romero's, let's just give it a name. So now our main space is called Romero's. You don't have to do this. I just thought it might be better once we start getting into seeing other spaces. Up in the top left, we have the kitchen, we have the washrooms here, we have an outside area dining here, and of course this is the restaurant dining and a bar here and all of the bottles of the bar sitting along the top here. So I've already gone through and decided how I want to light this restaurant. So if I just turn on my fixtures, you'll see the white light troffers that are in the kitchen, the square troffers that are in the washroom areas, and I put an RGB downlight on most of the tables. I have edge lighting along the bar. I have up lighting for the bottles of the bar and a couple downlights for the bar work area. So by default, if we just decided to add into the normal space area a static look, and I will just drop my looks down here, I get all the tools for illuminating these things. So I have some white lights up here, and if I turn on white lights, well, everybody gets white. Why are these guys looking a bit different? Well, they're actually tunable white, unlike the ones in the kitchen, which are just a specific color temperature. So the ones in the washrooms I can tune. Let's say we're doing a day look versus an evening look. And the RGBs, they've just picked a white here. Obviously I could do something quite moody, but let's just pick something like this. So now I'm going to name this look my day look. And similarly, we may want to do another look for evening. So instead of going to full brightness, we'll just come down a bit and we can warm up the washrooms a little bit here. And all of the RGBs, now we could do something a little bit more dramatic. We will call this evening. So now, simulating the project, we could go and run the day look. That runs everything all together. We can run the evening look and it will crossfade to that, and we can hit the big off button and everything will go off. So everybody in the space is acting in unison. But the chef might not be too happy that we've dimmed down the lights just in the evening look. So what we can do is we can partition off the kitchen and have it work independently of this. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add a space, and I'm just going to draw a rectangle around the kitchen, and if I turn on the properties, I will call this kitchen, and we can choose any color we want to represent the kitchen. So now that I've drawn the kitchen, if we look, it has become dependent upon Romero's space. So what I want to do now is change how the kitchen behaves, and it shall be independent. So now when I go to the off look, the lights in the kitchen do not turn off. We should quickly give the ability for the chef to turn the lights on and off. So therefore we drop a look in the kitchen, and you can see the only tools that are available to us are the intensity tools. We will call this cooking. So now we can turn off the kitchen lights and we can turn on the cooking look. And then in the restaurant itself, we can have evening or day, which are independent of the kitchen that has their own on and off buttons. So what's it mean to be dependent? So to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to put a barrier around the bar. So let's just draw a rectangle around the bar. And it is by default dependent. And we should call this the bar. So again, simulating the looks, if we go into evening or day, because the bar is dependent on Romero's, its lights continue to work. If we want to give the bartender a little bit of control, then we can add a look right into the bar area, and here we will choose something funky like a dark blue, and we'll call this Moody Blue. So whether or not we're in evening or day, at any time the bartender can run the Moody Blue look. And we can divide this even further. So let's go and add another space within inside the bar, which is just the bottles. Now if I double click on the bar, it zooms right into the bar area. And now I have the ability to add a look. And this time let's add a dynamic look, and we'll put that right in the bottles. And we will choose from our pre-canned looks, how about a chasing rainbow look across the bottles? So we may want this to be independently controlled, except for when we go off. So a scenario may be we go to the day look and our bottles are dark, but we could then turn our bottles to do their thing. And we also have the Moody Blue look that is just in the bar area. Let's add another space for the edge lighting of the bar. And here we could add another dynamic look in here and have it run a color storm. And this space likely would also be independent except for off. So now if we look at the whole restaurant, we turn on the kitchen lights, we can go to our day or our evening look. We could add the rainbows to the bottles, and we could add the color storm to the front of the bar. And we may want to turn the bar lights, down lights, to a Moody Blue. And then at the end of the day, whether or not we're in day or evening, we can turn the whole restaurant off. Everything inside the bar area goes off, and the kitchen is still lit so they can do their cleanup at the end of the night. Now, spaces do not necessarily need to be rectangular. You can also go in and make any shape space you want. And if you need to edit the space, you select it, press this button, and then you could move any of the endpoints or the edges, or add vertices, or whatever else you need to do to tweak the spaces. There's one other very short topic I want to discuss in this video, and it is if you are going to be adding devices like a Perform touchscreen, It depends on which space that you put it in when you are defining what the functions of it are. So when we get to the definition, we do not see the Romero's restaurant or the kitchen because I placed that device inside the bar. And then it shows the bar and any child spaces that the bar may have. There's an entire separate video on how to configure and program the touchscreens and what functions like color override, intensity, and a color picker. So check out that video along with all the others that are in this series about the Pathscape Create software.